Well, it's our great pleasure to welcome two faces of the rugby sport. Abby and Alex, we appreciate you guys being with us. Curious about where along the line you two met and how big of a factor rugby was in that introduction.
I'll take this one.
Love this story.
Love the story. So basically, luckily, it's actually thanks to NBC Sports that we met, covering the Rugby World Cup Sevens in San Francisco. Got to really watch the USA Women's Sevens teams up close. Was a little bit fanboy and very impressed with her. We actually did a highlight package on her, highlighting her before her semi-final game, and then a day or so after the tournament ended, actually got to properly meet her on the night out, and then confessed my fanboy love from there, and it went from there.
You confessed on night one?
Yeah, well, I confessed I was a fan. It probably took about day 3 before I confessed all the love.
Wow, that usually never works for me, so that's impressive.
Honestly, just persistence. It was tough. You had to be resilient. I had to be determined. All the values of rugby got me through it. It was a tough journey, but we got there.
So what was it from your perspective then? What was the other side of the fence here?
Be nice.
Persistence is a good word. No, he actually came the next day. We were in San Francisco and hung out. Sort of a ploy of, I want to interview you and, chat rugby and, we'll build your brand and those sort of lines. Then all of a sudden, we didn't talk about rugby. He's like going around San Francisco, exploring with me and my best friend. And
I just kind of hijacked their best friend date and just sort of thought, well, I'm only going to have one more like half day / day in the same place as her. I'm just going to get in there and try and make a good impression so I can try and see her again.
You're an innovator. I could learn a lot from you. How about the virus? How has it affected the wedding planning at this point?
Well, the plan initially was to not even set a wedding date till after Tokyo. With Tokyo being delayed, we've almost been debating just doing it by a Zoom to our friends sooner than later.
Yeah.
We weren't sure if we should risk the $1,000 fine, but it would probably be a lot cheaper than having a wedding anyway. But
yeah,
we're up in the air. See what our parents think. They might not be huge fans. My friends, a couple of them shut it down. But my roommate did get ordained online, which apparently is a very simple process. So
yeah,
if anyone else out there wants to get married, just go online. You'll figure it out. It's pretty quick.
We were like joking around, and she's like joking, like, yeah, I'll get ordained. Literally about 5 minutes later, she has a certificate that says she's legally ordained for marriage in the state of California.
So is the over-under at Tokyo 2021 now? Is it going to be before or after? What do we think?
Probably after.
She's the boss.
I am the boss.
She is the boss. So whatever she sets it. And that was also my view from day one, even when I proposed, was that, hey, like, I know how hard you've been working for this dream of the Olympics. You put your life on hold for a long point of time. This girl turned down medical school to chase this dream of trying to go to the Olympics. So to put, as much as I want to marry her and it'd be an amazing day, like any distraction from the goal was always like the priority was the Olympics and that dream. And then I'll become the priority after the Olympics.
So, Abby, what was your reaction then when you first heard that Tokyo 2020 was going to be Tokyo 2021?
I was pretty gutted, to be honest. It was a shock, as much as our other tournaments getting canceled. You'd think the Olympics would get postponed, but it's been set for so long, Tokyo and 2020 just going together, that I sort of just had this like light at the end of the tunnel, whereas Hong Kong canceled, Langford, Paris, but tried to stay positive, hoping that it would go on. Obviously, the safety of everyone is the priority, and I'm glad the IOC is taking that into consideration. But as an athlete, it's heart-wrenching to have that dream so close to being achieved and then pushed off for another year. Obviously, it's a year of our team being together, more training, more competition, plenty of chances to enhance our skills and our cohesion, but it's also those risk factors of the unknown. So it's a little scary at the same time.
So, Alex, how did you see Abby react up close and personal?
It was tough because obviously as things started to develop in sport going on, you could see it was becoming maybe possibly more and more inevitable that the Olympic issue would have to be addressed. But this girl's focus, determination, even though they didn't have training, I felt like she almost at the start even stepped it up more to be like, I'm going Olympics, doesn't matter what is thrown in front of me right now. Like, I'm still training, like I'm going, that gold medal mentality. And that was very impressive to see. But when the final news, especially when it first got postponed, maybe not when they set a new date, but when they just said, hey, it's not happening when it was, you could see she was devastated, and she needed a little time. I tried not to annoy her too much because I could tell like it wasn't the time. But my heart was breaking watching her because this girl is so determined. Like, all her teammates will know she's the engine room of that team, and those around her. She just won the engine room award by her teammates, so I use that phrase. But like, you could just tell that it was a big blow to her, and she's not someone who's very emotional. At many times, I'm more the emotional one, and she's more the stoic one. But to see her emotional and see how much it hurt her, it was tough to sort of watch and just kind of be helpless on the side. Like, I fully believe that one more year she's going to be even better. She's going to have more time in the captaincy role, more time as a team, and develop their game and learn about each other. I feel like their upward trajectory as a team this might benefit them in the long run, but I completely got where her mind's of the uncertainties and the uncontrollables that could affect her journey to the Olympics, which were plaguing sort of your mind.
Mm-hmm. And Alex, you fought through your own challenges over the past year or two. Curious about when you first got the news that you were going to be entering a battle with cancer.
Yeah, it was a little scary time. You know, we just had the World Cup on NBC in the autumn, and it was amazing. It was basically 7-8 weeks of working nonstop, covering the games in Japan. So like on an opposite sleeping schedule, but I was training. I felt great. I proposed to Abby. I got a couple days off thanks to NBC. Let me fly back, and because their parents were in town, and do a sneak grand proposal, and then shot back out to work. And then I went straight to coaching at Penn. I coach at Penn State especially in the autumn, and I went straight there and I was coaching, and I'd asked her opinion on it like about a week or two ago to say, am I crazy? Am I not? Like, is this? And so eventually just decided, like, I'm just going to go get it checked out as soon as I get home. Went there thinking like, you know, this is just a formality. I'll get it checked. And then me and my brother are about to go train and do jiu-jitsu together afterwards. He's waiting in the car. I go see the doctor, and the doctor is basically like, what do you think it is? And he's feeling it. And I go, I'm worried it could be testicular cancer. And he goes, you've got it. And I was like, he's like, we're going to do all the testing now, but just by feeling it, I'm telling you, you've got it. And it was just quite a sobering moment, because it just kind of hits home. Played professional rugby most of my adult life, and I had a bunch of injuries and a bunch of surgeries. And you kind of you always know, all right, I'll get the surgery, I'll do the rehab, and eventually I'll be back or whatever. But with this, I had no idea what it entailed. I just looked at him and says, like, I don't want to die, doc. Tell me what I need to do to not happen, and we're good. But it was that moment of first real like mortality or vulnerability I've probably ever had in my life, because when you're young, you just don't really, nothing ever hits you like that. And it was a battle, but I'm very fortunate that we caught it early enough. It hadn't spread, that it could have been a lot worse. Like, I had the surgery, I recovered from that. I had one heavy dose of chemo as a precaution to try and reduce the risk of it coming back. And now we sit and wait and monitor it. But as of now, I'm cancer-free. This time has probably given me a time to sort of stay in one place, eat healthy, train, starting getting back to feeling my best physically. But I'm also very blessed that I have a support system like Abby. My family were amazing. My dad looked after me. I went back to England for a lot of my treatment. NBC let me film from Sky Sports Studios and satellite in from England, which was fantastic to keep working, so have some form of normality while all that was going on. And then lastly, her family were amazing. We spent Christmas with them, and they really looked after me, made me feel welcome, and kind of hit home that I made the right decision of the girl I chose to marry. Like, as much as it was a shock, in my mind, I feel like it will be like one of those tick boxes of like, yeah, you made the right decision. Like, when the chips were down, the people that around you and loved you were there for you. And it was a challenge, but I feel like we're on the other side of it, and I'm hoping it's just upward from now.
I want to get to our lockdown lightning round with you guys. So we go past or present, anyone through the history of time. Who would you most want to join your quarantine crew?
Ooh.
Ooh.
I know what he's going to say.
The Rock.
Why The Rock?
I just love him. I've loved him since I was about 6-7 years old, and just to watch the development of the man who like changed and conquered pro wrestling, has then moved to like, you know, faced adversity trying to be an actor, and let alone that the fact that he didn't make the NFL, had his dreams crushed there, to then reinvent himself, conquer wrestling, then to move into movies and sort of not really take to it, almost flop, and reinvent himself as like the next Schwarzenegger, doing these big movies, and then to step into like production, producing Ballers, producing movies, putting together combinations, and then businesses and everything he does, and his positive message, the way he is with his daughters, his family, the way he supports them. I love everything about him.
How about for you, Abby?
Nice. Well, this is a tough question. I should have researched it.
Yeah.
I know. But I would say besides someone from my family, which I would love to have my goddaughter Presley here because she is just a ball of entertainment and she's so smart and hilarious. But someone unrealistic would be Rafa, as he is just like my idol in sports, and he's just an incredible player, comes from humble beginnings, and I think I would just learn a lot from him and his mental game, and maybe you could teach me a thing or two on the tennis courts if we're allowed to go.
I think you can. You can distance on a tennis court, right? You have to distance on a tennis court. Yeah. How about the best part? We'll start with you this time, Abby. The best part about dating another rugby player.
Oh.
God said best.
Best. The list is so long. Where do I go? Something to choose from.
I'm just here, just ready for the blow.
No, I think the best part is he understands the love of the game, and it's a sport unlike any that I've ever played, and I'm sure he's ever played. The camaraderie that comes with it, that for him, like brotherhood or sisterhood, and the bond you share with people, and it's so special. It's even more special like to have it in your partner because they understand everything you go through, and we're both so passionate about the game, and we can talk about it, and I don't take his advice on the rest.
It's always tough to bring it up, my opinions up.
Yeah, I bet.
And for me, I think it's been able to share in the dream that she's chasing and the journey, and to be a part of it. Like my rugby journey's ended as such, but like to watch her along the way and how hard she works, and to know like it is just always a roller coaster. There's ups, there's downs, whatever. To see her invest herself fully in it, to watch how hard she works, to watch her with her teammates, and just like the effort this girl puts in as well. Like I really respect. One of the things that like I always prided myself on is like technically I was, you know, those were the areas I worked so hard on. Like I maxed out sort of all the technical areas I could with the physical skills I was given. And this girl's probably exemplifies that to a new level.
All right. So we'll get you out here on this. This is the last one. The hardest hit. Yeah, I'm a football guy, but I am so fascinated by the toughness of rugby. The hardest hit you ever took.
Yeah.
I actually just showed her the hardest hit I ever took because it was on England Rugby started releasing like old games on YouTube, and they released in 2012. We beat the All Blacks, and it was like they were the world champions. They hadn't lost for almost 2 years, like heavily favorites. We were a young team and we beat them. It was a very exciting day, but like in the 60-something minute, I got a ball thinking I was about to score. Like I was like 5 meters out from the line, and Kieran Reid, their captain and number 8, is like in my blind spot to the right and absolutely kills me. Like his shoulder hit the side of my arm, and for some reason he's managed to get like the shoulder impact separated between where my bicep and tricep were, so it hit the bone. So immediately my arm filled up with like blood, and I couldn't lift it. It was just dead, and I had to come off. And I couldn't lift my arm for about 3 weeks. I've never been hit like that. I respect the guy because he's not always known as the biggest hitter, but it was perfect.
All right, mine would be in a 15s game. There's so many people on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was playing outside center, and the inside center was dragging across the field to set me up to switch back under. But her defender just read it so perfectly, and she just passed me the ball. And as soon as I caught it, this girl just got me, like lifted me fully up, put me on my back, and I was just so embarrassed. I was like, do I lay down here and pretend like I got hurt, or is that worse, or do I get up? And I'm like, but of course that's what you got to do. You just jump right up and you're like, yeah, I'm fine. Can't breathe at all. It's not fun.
And then you get an equal pain, if not worse pain, the next day when you wake up.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, the sport of rugby is in great hands. It's awesome seeing you guys. Please stay safe out there in San Diego. And Alex and Abby, thank you for the time.
Thanks. Stay safe.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.